Hey everyone, I believe we are on air right now. Let me just get all the stuff up here and ready so that we can start the webinar today. Actually, everyone can hear us. So if you can just type in the chat box, make sure that you can hear us, that would be great. Because those of you who have been to our webinars before, you know that we want to make sure that everyone can hear us before we start talking. Excellent, thank you. Okay, so yes, we'll just wait a couple of minutes, make sure that the people that are on the call can hear us. So just you'll see I believe it's on your left-hand side on the screen, there's some controls. Just click on chat and you'll be able to let us know if you can hear us perfectly. Okay, so just some housekeeping before we begin. You will see that you have some controls. There's a chat button, there's a Q&A button. So as we're talking, presenting, if any questions that come up, pop them into the Q&A, and we will have some time at the end of the webinar to answer your questions along the way as well. But what's so great about this, which I love, is that you can put your questions in along the way, because if you're like me, I always forget what I want to ask by the time of the end of the webinar, and then this way at least your questions will be asked. Perfect. So now that we have our sound check.
And I'm going to fix my tie. There we go.
There you go. So for those of you who are new to Neil and I, we are the Private Label University. And we have been sourcing, importing, and private labeling products for over 35 years for the big chain stores. Now, we know many of you on the call today are Amazon or eBay sellers, and just so you know, we too are Amazon and eBay sellers as well. So we have been teaching product entrepreneurs like yourselves around the world the steps that they need to follow in order to see results with no headaches to private label products. And the thing is, to be successful in this industry, you really need to follow a process. Because if you follow a process, you will then see results. So all the information that you receive from us is part of our process. It's the process that we have been using for 3 decades, a process that we are entrepreneurs like yourselves. So the one thing I think is the most important step of importing is making inspections. And it is by no means a sexy phase. There is nothing exciting about inspections, but it's one phase that I find, it's one part of the step of the process that I find that people skip. And it really is sad, because it truly is one of the most important steps. It is your last chance to make sure that you don't see issues with your products before it leaves the factory. So if your products arrive, say, damaged, or they're not labeled correctly, or they're packaged incorrectly, in the end, it can cost you a lot of money and time, and you would have wished that you had an inspection. So if you cannot personally go to the factory to see and inspect your products yourself, then having the assurance that your products are going to be delivered to your expectation is very, very important. So today we're going to focus on inspections, why it's important, what could happen if you don't inspect, and even the best of us actually need to have inspections. It can happen to anyone, any of these issues. What type of inspection is right for you? Because believe it or not, there's different types of inspections. And you were going to also find out how easy this one step is so you can get started right away. So to walk you through and to teach us all about inspections, we have a special guest.
We have a very special guest today. Dory Lanitor is here today, and Dory brings extensive expertise in corporate social responsibility and product integrity to the Supplier Audit Program's team of Asia Inspections. And it's a global quality control and compliance service provider company. An amazing company of what they do. He is a certified social compliance auditor. Dory supports the Asia Inspections North American operations, and he helps Asia Inspections clients all around the world ensure ethics and sustainability throughout all of their supply chain solutions. So it's really important to note that he has extensive it's not even professionalism. When you're dealing with people who work with inspections and audits, they're looking for detail. They're looking for specifics for products, for categories, and they're specialists in what they do. And many companies around the world rely on these inspection specialists to really help your company. And especially in the physical product industry, it's crucial to work with a company that does the proper steps in making sure your products are compliant. And Dory has, again, extensive history in this. He's professional at what he does. His company is extremely professional. We did our due diligence in looking at his company, and we were so impressed because there's a lot of companies out there, especially in Asia, who claim to be inspection or with all the different compliance and regulatory different situations that you'll fall in for different products, because every category is different. From jewelry to toys to food products to tools to molds. There's so many details that you have to work with specialists, and it's very important to choose the proper company that does this. And again, there's a lot of companies who claim that they'll do inspections, they'll do audits, they'll check on companies' history of reliability and sustainability, but Dory's company truly does what they say they do.
That from us at the Private Label University, we never share resources that we don't personally stand behind, because it's our name too, and we want to make sure that you're getting resources that we believe in, that we know that actually work. And so that's why we want to share with you this special guest.
Yes.
So let's,
no further ado, here is Dory Lanitor from ASInspector.
So let me get him on. Give me 2 seconds here. And hold on 1 second. Okay, let's see. Dory, can you talk? I'm not sure if we can hear you. No? Okay, hold on. Let's see if we can.
Technology.
You gotta love technology, right? I can't seem to get him back on here.
Bear with us for a second.
It's us.
Can everyone hear me? I think you should be able to hear me. Can one of the attendees just text me just to see if everyone can hear me loud and clear? Can everyone hear the audio? Okay, so some people are saying that they can hear, but there's no audio or no video yet. Okay, perfect. It seems like everyone can see me now. So again, that's awesome. I just want to start by, first of all, thanking Karen and Neil and Private Label University for inviting me to join this webinar today. It's an amazing honor. It's a pleasure, and I really hope to bring you some value at the end of this conversation. I couldn't have asked for a better intro from Karen and Neil. And yeah, my background is in many areas in PR and marketing. I moved to the quality control industry about 4 years ago, almost by mistake. And like Karen said, it's not a super interesting or it's not a sexy topic, but once you get into it, it's something that I learned really helps clients. And I'll talk about this in more detail later. But basically, what we wanted to do today is to do a little presentation. The presentation will be talking about how an inspection or a quality control company works, why it's important. We will talk about integrity, and then we will move to a few study cases. And from there, we'll move to a demo to show you how easy it is to book and manage quality control from your phone or from your tablet or from your computer. So I'll just move on to the presentation. Can everyone see the first slide? Okay, so basically, I work for ASInspection. ASInspection is a global quality control services provider. Basically, my company or other companies in that space provide solution, and so it's either supplier audit programs, product inspections.
Hi, Dory. Sorry, we can't see the slides.
Okay, I will try to.
Thanks.
Are you able to see it now?
No, not yet.
Okay, you should see it now.
There's
Perfect.
the slides, okay.
Perfect. Can everyone see the slides? If you could just comment, that'd be great. Thank you.
Perfect. So as I was starting to say, companies like us provide a full spectrum of anything related to quality control and compliance. And there's 3 pillars: audits, testing. If you can see at the bottom of the slide, you'll see a bunch of certifications. I won't talk about all of them, but when you partner with a quality control company, whether it's us or other companies, you want to make sure that the company is certified and accredited. And especially for companies operating in Asia or in China, ISO 9001 is very important, and AQSIQ is very important. AQSIQ, and I'm not sure if any one of you heard about this certification before, that is the Chinese government official license for foreign companies, foreign quality control companies to operate in China. So when you choose a quality control partner, make sure they have AQSIQ. Of course, if you import from China, companies who don't have this are usually not, obviously not accredited, can be trusted, it can be closed down by the Chinese government without notice. So that's very important. Again, when you choose to work with a company like ours, make sure it is accredited, certified, and so forth. A little bit about ASInspection. ASInspection is a relatively young company. We've been there for 15 years, more or less. It's a French-owned, Hong Kong-based company, and It's a global company now, so we have offices all across the world. We have feet all over the world. I'm talking to you from our biggest office in North America, which is based in beautiful Vancouver in British Columbia in Canada, the west coast of Canada. This is where we manage and work with our client base in North America and Canada. A little bit about ASINspector. We do something like 160,000 inspections a year. This year, I believe we will be close to 180,000 inspections, audits, and testing. We work with clients from all consumer product ranges. So it's a very, very diverse portfolio, all the way from mom and pop shops, small entrepreneurs, mid-sized business to Amazon and Costco and Ralph Lauren and Gap and Nike. So there's a very wide range of clients from all types of consumer products. And something that I haven't mentioned is that our field of expertise is consumer products. We're not good for oil and gas. We're not good for mining. We're not good for marine products. We're only good for anything from toys to textile apparel and furniture and molding and mechanical products and electronics is within our capacity. Our network, our company, I think we have something like 1,600 people altogether, but in terms of the actual people who do the important work, which is inspections, audits, and testing, we're talking about 800 plus people. Last point here is talking about an international management team, but what I'm always humbled with when I go to our offices in either Shenzhen in southern China, which is our biggest operation facility, or other offices, is that if you walk the corridors of our offices, you'll meet people from the States, from Canada, from Europe, obviously from mainland China and Hong Kong, but also from Vietnam and India and Peru and Argentina. And it's a humbling experience because there's so many different nationalities and cultures, and the synergy is so incredible that I'm always humbled by it. It's just something that makes you realize that it's a special company. This is one of the reasons I love working for ASINspector so much. It's because of that diversity and the fact that despite all the differences, everyone's speaking the same language, and we're all extremely client focused, which makes us very successful. Again, in 15 years, we got to the point that we compete with the biggest companies in our industry because of that special culture that we have. In terms of where we actually operate, it's going to be very easy for you to remember where we don't operate, actually. It's very easy. So the only place we don't have feet on the ground is North Korea. And I don't think we will get in there anytime soon unless we get into nuclear devices, which is unlikely. But we operate everywhere in Asia, Latin America, Europe, Africa, and the States. Or in other words, you would find our people everywhere that you would find affordable or competitive manufacturing. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, so this slide, I'm just going to talk about the services that we provide. As I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, we provide free services. And the first one is supplier audits. And when we say audits, in our terminology, an audit is something which is relevant to looking at a business as opposed to looking at a product. So there are a few different types of factory audits. And the first one is, and one of the most popular ones around in the last few years, and again, this is a thing that I'm very close to because it's my field of expertise, is ethical audits. So ethical audits would be used by you or by other clients to make sure that their supply chain is clean from issues like child labor, forced labor, freedom of association, remuneration, issues like capital punishment. A lot of importers, small and big, want to make sure that their supply chain is clean from any social compliance issues, and that's the main goal of an ethical audit. At the end of the day, the ethical audit would be able to point out if there are any non-compliances, minor or major, and it would supply you with a corrective action plan if required. A manufacturing audit is very popular with first-time importers. For example, you went to a trade show, you found a potential supplier in Vietnam. How do you know if they are real? It's a trade show. Sometimes in trade shows, you don't meet the real factories, but maybe marketing firms or people who represent them. So a manufacturing audit's purpose is to send one of our auditors to the factory. So first of all, to make sure that it's a real factory, that they have real machines, that they have real quality control mechanics and procedures, that it's a good partner for you. So the manufacturing audit will authenticate that potential supplier and also grade it, also grade that factory in comparison or benchmark it with other factories in the same industry, in the same area. So you can tell if this is a good match for you or not. Structural audits are very popular in the textile apparel industry. Structural audits purpose is obviously to make sure that the factory is stable, that the building itself is stable. And often in the textile apparel industry, you'll see factories who are not built up to code or not used up to code. So for example, a few weeks ago, we went to a factory in Vietnam, and massive factory, and they put gigantic washing machines on the roof of the factory. Those washing machines work night and day, and they tremble. They just make not only a huge noise, but they tremble the entire structure. So the situation was so bad that immediately after a few hours of being there, we evacuated the factory, and they might have to demolish it. But at the end of the day, hundreds of lives are going to be safe as a result. So that's one of the things that are so important. Besides ethical manufacturing and structural audits, there are other audits that cover the environmental impact of a factory on its surrounding. It's called an environmental audit. And obviously the purpose is to make sure that the factory is not polluting the environment, that they're using smokestacks which are up to code and so forth. There's also a last type of audit, which is called CTPAT. I'm not sure if any one of you heard of it, but CTPAT is a voluntary audit which was derived from Homeland Security. It's a voluntary audit which is meant to make sure that the factory has no security issues. So you would see those kinds of audits with importers who bring goods from countries with safety risk, like Egypt or Jordan or Pakistan or Eastern China. You would see a lot of retailers auditing all their supply chain for CTPAT to make sure that there's no security risk, and it also helps them bring goods to the States or Canada so that when the goods arrive, when there's a CTPAT certification, it's just easier to bring it in without further inspection or holdups. I'm done talking about audits. I'll move to inspections, product integrity inspections, again, as opposed to audits who look at the factory or look at the business. Inspections look at the product. And there are different types of inspections. And the main difference, I would say, is the stage of production that we tackle the product in. So You can tackle a product or inspect at the beginning of production, at the middle of production, at the end of production, at the container loading stage. Each client has a different need. Although I can tell you that the most popular type of inspection is a pre-shipment inspection, which happens at the end of production. The advantage of coming in earlier in production is the fact that you can still catch issues and take corrective action. So for example, when you inspect product at 20 or 30% of production and you find an issue, the factory can still fix it as opposed to inspecting at the end of production, where the report will show you what's wrong at the end of the day, and then you can mitigate the risk with the factory. And again, the biggest advantage of using us for inspections, or using any quality control company for inspection, is to mitigate your risk. It's not an insurance, but it's as close as it gets to insurance. The inspection will basically let you know what's wrong with the product, if there's anything wrong, if the product is what you expect it to be. Usually we come into the factory with your approved sample, so we can compare it to what's coming out of your production line. So that's very important. Another point that I wanted to mention in regards to inspections, I mentioned earlier that we deal with any type of consumer product. So when you use us or any other company for an inspection, the big advantage is that we have qualified inspectors for any type of consumer product. So when you have a shoe to inspect, we have to send someone whose expertise and experience is within footwear. If you have a furniture product that you're importing, you have to have someone whose expertise and experience is with furniture, and so forth. So the advantage, again, is that we have a very large pool of people, and we have different divisions for each type of product category. Another important point when it comes to inspections is, how do we do those inspections? What kind of criteria do we use, and how do we conduct it? So in terms of the criteria, we usually refer to an inspection protocol. An inspection protocol is basically a long list of action items that the inspector is supposed to carry out. So for example, if it's a garment, it will be measurements, it could be weight, it could be comparing to the colors, to and the checklist or the protocol is something that we develop for every type of consumer product. So if you have a furniture product or a toy product, the protocol will be automatically chosen and used for that specific product. Having said that, we are very flexible. So we have a lot of clients who come to us and they say, we don't care about how ASINspector wants to inspect my product. I know how to inspect my product, and I want you to use my protocol. In that sense, we're very flexible. So we allow our clients to create their own checklist. But most of our clients usually rely on us, but we again allow that flexibility, because at the end of the day, when you get the report, it should bring you value. It should follow the criteria and expectations of you, the client, the importer. Last service that we operate is lab testing. Lab testing is very important, especially when it comes to children's products. Types of lab testing. The first type is compliance testing, and the second type is performance testing. It is relevant to tests that are sanctioned or mandatory. So for example, if you bring a toy product or any product that can be consumed by a child the age of 12 or less, it has to be tested by an accredited and approved lab before you bring it over to the States or Canada. or anywhere else. So again, when you partner with a quality control company or for the purpose of testing, you want to make sure that the labs are all certified and accredited by the US, Canadian, European regulators. In this case, obviously, our labs are all recognized and accredited by the CPSC, which is the governing body in the US that sanctions mandatory testing for consumer products, by the FDA for food products and so forth, or Health Canada for products that are being imported to Canada. So again, compliance testing are good for mandatory tests, and performance testing is, for example, if you want to test the performance of the product, for example, if you have a battery and you want to test its capacity, that would be a performance test. If you, I just had this case a few days ago with a small company in New York, and they import cashmere. So they asked us to do an authenticity test or a composition test to make sure that their supplier is really giving them what they're expecting. And in this case, the test failed quite miserably because it wasn't cashmere. It was something completely different. So those are the two types. Inspection or for lab testing. I will move on to, and that's a very important conversation that we always have with our clients and stakeholders. It's a conversation about integrity. I'm not sure how many of you have importing from Asia or China, but bribery and is a national sport. In Asian cultures, gift giving is a very meaningful act. For us in the West, it's bribery. It's frowned upon, and in that sense, companies like us and our competitors have to have a zero tolerance policy towards integrity issues or bribery. So when we send someone to the factory on your behalf, we want to make sure that this inspector would not ask or approve or agree to take money from the factory to pass an inspection. That's very, very important. Otherwise, we would not be in business. We would not do anyone any good. So I wanted to talk about some of the things that we do or other companies do to make sure that our workforce adheres to the highest levels of integrity. So the first thing that, and most important thing in my mind, is that we have a very robust rotation strategy. We never send the same inspector to the same factory more than once. Familiarity breeds impropriety. We don't want to have any relationship with the factory. So this is why we never send the same guy to the same factory more than once. There's economic incentives that we use. We pay our staff above average, and we motivate them to report any bribery attempts from the factory. So if an inspector or auditor reports a bribery attempt, they would usually get more money from us than what was offered. Again, I mentioned a zero tolerance policy. We take legal action both against the inspector or the factory if we find someone took a bribe or was offered a bribe. They get fired immediately, of course, and there's other financial things that we can do to take action upon this. We try to make our workforce very diverse in terms of incorporating an equal amount of men and women into our workforce. We found out that incorporating more women into our workforce helps. Women are less likely to get into integrity issues. And that's something that really made a big difference. Another thing is the legal disclaimer. When we go into the factory at the end of the inspection, the inspector and the factory manager have to sign a legal document stating that nothing was offered, nothing was taken. Another thing that we do to keep our staff, keep some positive pressure on our staff is surprise internal audits. So 20% of the inspections and audits that we do, we have a manager or managers that go and do surprise audits on our own people, myself included. I go to Asia a few times a year and randomly check factories and shadow our people. And sometimes we do this undercover. Sometimes we let them know as we go in, but it puts a lot of positive pressure on our staff. Besides all these points, we do a lot more. There's other things that we do, but again, this is a very important discussion. Again, when you choose an inspection company, you want to make sure that you choose a company that adheres to the highest levels of integrity. From here, I'd like to move on to some study cases to talk about some real cases of real clients and to show or to demonstrate how this type of service can actually help your bottom line or your image or your reputation. So this case is a cost-saving case. It's pretty relevant. Our client is a uniform importer. I would say a mid-size company. They import something like $3-4 million a year. And they got a big project from an airline to construct, design, and manufacture uniforms for 30,000 employees. So it's a pretty massive project. Because the client wanted to be really, really careful with how they approach us, they asked us to inspect the product even before the beginning of production, at the pre-production stage. And we sent a few technical apparel inspectors to conduct those inspections. And from the get-go, we found out that the construction was completely different than how the designer put together the specs. The fabric was not the fabric that was supposed to be used, or there were some alterations that the client was not aware of, and that was extremely helpful because the client, as a result, was able to put everything on hold before production really started. Have the factory rehaul the entire way they conducted this production. The factory had to dump all the wrong material. They had to hire someone who had a better expertise in constructing such products, such uniform products. And afterwards, we did during production inspection and final inspections, which had no issues whatsoever. It was all quite perfect. It was a good factory. We just didn't have the initial tools to put things together, and we saved the client a lot of money, around $400,000. So, and the investment that they made in terms of using us for those inspections was less than $9,000. So $9,000 of investment saved them $400,000 in losses, which was huge. This is one of the things that I always take a lot of pride in, because that's exactly how we want to operate. We really want to be an extension of our client's team to really be able to demonstrate how to bring this type of value. So that was quite amazing. And obviously a very happy client. A second case, I want to talk about reputation, and this case is one of our clients was probably the biggest retailer in Western Canada, and they had a they're a seasonal business, and they had a toy project, and they chose a few factories in Cambodia to do this project, and they did a series of audits. They did a manufacturing audit first to make sure that it's a good factory in terms of its procedures, machines, and so forth, and that passed. And then we went to a second phase of social audits, and that's where things got sideways. And actually, I was involved in one of those audits, and I remember arriving at the factory, and one of the first things that you don't need to be an expert to be a social auditor. You just need a pair of good eyes. And one of the first things that I noticed is children in the premises, which is not supposed to be like that. And Cambodia, for you who don't know, is still reeling from the Khmer Rouge regime that ended about 30 years ago. But this country is very much trying to put itself together, and those kinds of issues are pretty common in Cambodia. So the major issue that we found was child labor, and it's a big no-no for not only retailers but a lot of smaller companies here that wouldn't work with suppliers who have child labor. This can devastate your reputation if it comes out. And obviously, you don't want to make money out of these horrible conditions. So obviously, we reported this to the client and presented a corrective action plan, how the factory should remove those kids from the payroll. But there's more than that. I mean, in Cambodia, the problem is that when you let those children go, there's going to be some hungry families as a result, and our client knew that. And so what they did, it was a wonderful thing. I found a great solution, and in which we kept the factory kept the children working at the factory, which is wrong, but the retailer financed or paid for a teacher to come into the factories 4 or 5 times a week for a few hours to teach the children English and math, so that we were able to find a good solution, which is between, because obviously we don't want people to go hungry. At the same time, we want to have a compliant supply chain. So that was something that is a very interesting story. I like to talk about this. Another study case is about benchmarking and legal, and in this case it was actually it's a golf products importer, and it's an Amazon supplier, and he was having a lot of trouble with one specific competitor who was using the product, saying that it's been through specific lab testing, or it's called Prop 65. It's a type of a lab testing that is required by the state of California. So the competitor claimed that the product was tested and passed, and our client's suspicion is that it wasn't tested and the product was non-compliant. So what they asked us to do was to reverse engineer the competitor's product, and we tested it, and the client was actually correct. So the product was not tested and the product was not compliant. There were materials in the product that I believe it was a golf bag. There were materials there that were prohibited. So that allowed them to take legal action against that competitor, and I know that they closed that line of business as a result. So that allowed them to conquer a larger portion of that market. So that's an example about benchmarking legal. And the last study case is about quality improvement. In this case, office supplies importer. I believe it's also an Amazon supplier. And in this case, they had some multiple issues with suppliers in North India. And they asked us to, they use that specific fact, I think it was 3 factories, and they use it for maybe 4 years, great factories, no problems, and all of a sudden things started deteriorating, and they never worked with a third-party quality control like us before, came to us with that kind of challenge. Our factories are getting worse, we're getting bad products, and what we've done here is a series of during production inspections. Again, we came in early in production. We're able to pinpoint the production issues, the product issues. So first, the advantage is the fact that the factories were able to pull all the defectives away, reproduce the products again the right way. And it also put positive pressure on the factories because they don't want our people there. They don't want that hassle. So it put some positive pressure on them to not only take corrective action on this case, but to increase the focus on quality. So after, I would say, 6 or 7 months, we can see steady improvement. And the client is still using us. He's using us less, maybe once a quarter now, because the factories have gotten to the point that they're producing up to standard. But again, the main problem here was bad production, positive pressure put on the factory. They get improved quality as a result. And yeah, that's basically it. That's probably the end of this presentation. I'll just move on to a quick demo. I wanted to show you how the system actually works. So what you see on my screen is the client-facing architecture for ASINspector. So basically, this website allows you to book inspections, get reports, track the status of your orders. And
we can't see the screen.
Okay, let me see if I can share it. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see the screen. Also, just want to let you know we have just a few minutes left, and we have a lot of questions we have to get to as well.
Wonderful. So I'll go through this very quickly. So basically, this is our client-facing architecture. When a client needs to book an inspection, all they need to do is go to the Book Now tab. It opens up the drop-down menu that basically lists all the services that we supply, the ones that I just talked about. So all the types of inspections, all the types of testing and the audits. So when you get an inspection done, you just click pre-shipment inspection. The next stage would be to determine the date that you want our staff in, and then the location. Takes 2-3 minutes to upload the information about the product. But it's as easy as that. When it comes to testing, if you know the test, you just click here, and if you don't know the test, you can also send us an inquiry. So I've got a football. I need to test it for mandatory testing. Let me know what I need to do, and our team will review this and get back to you with all the mandatory tests, all the audits. The same thing. Basically, you click here, opens up an online booking form, and you complete it. Dashboard is this tab is basically there. We will supply you analytics over your supplier's performance. So This dashboard is basically a tool for you to get a bird's eye view of your supplier's performance over time. So for example, you start with us in January, you want to track the performance of your supplier or suppliers over time. This tool will show you which ones got better, which one got worse, which products are getting better, which products are getting worse, what are the reasons for rejection or approval, and so forth. The bookings tab will show you all the open bookings that you have with us, or completed bookings, or the ones that you're drafting. The reports tab will basically show you all the reports that have been generated by us for the inspections that we performed, and all the reports are archived here indefinitely. Checklist tab is very important. So basically, I was talking earlier about the inspection checklists. So this is basically a resource for you to see how an inspection checklist looks like. So for example, let's say that we're importing a baby item, and let's say we're importing a baby stroller. So this will basically give you access to hundreds of checklists, and this is how a checklist looks like. So this is a baby stroller. So the first action item for the inspector would be to look at safety issues. And this is the expected result. There shall be no hazardous points or edges before and after testing. There's a long list of items here. So you can actually get access to this. You can upload it. You can revise it based on what makes sense to you, and so forth. So that's the checklist tab. Just gives you access to hundreds, if not thousands, of checklists for every type of consumer product. Suppliers will basically list the factories that you work with. So anytime you book an inspection, the factory's information will be also saved here. Payments is for when you need to make a payment. Very straightforward. That's basically it, Karen. Thank you so much. I hope I wasn't too boring.
Let me get the mic back on. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. A lot of information, so much information. I have posted a link, so if you want to go directly to the site, you can get more information there, see what type of inspection is right for you. Thank you, Dory, so much. We have a ton of questions that were text and emailed in, and if anyone has any questions that are on the line, go to the Q&A box, type them in. We will definitely have time to get to them today. So, do you want to? Why don't we? Is that okay? Do you have time to answer some questions?
Of course.
And I was going to say, for me, I love talking about inspections. I'd say over 30 years, I've probably done about 180 to 190 inspections myself across Asia, and a lot of companies over the past 30 years have hired us to do inspections on specific products. So I know what it's like, and again, Karen and I have done our due diligence. We know that what you do is extremely professional, and it really does give all the answers. And anyone in the physical product industry, whether you're a retailer or an online seller with Amazon and eBay, this is a crucial part of your business to be involved with, because as more concerns go on with people selling products online, there's going to be more scrutiny, and Amazon's going to set more rules and regulations, as well as eBay and Rakuten and Newegg, where they're going to demand to see a lot of these approvals and regulations and certificates from companies that you're importing from. And if you're not approved, you're not going to be able to sell. So a great service that your company offers. We have a ton of questions. My first question, we've had a number of texts come in. What does it cost to use your company? What does it cost to sign up?
There's no cost for signing up. So when you go to our website and register, and you can get access to all our client-facing architecture. There's no contract. There's no. It's just free, and you can use our if you need live support or email support, it won't cost you a bit. Cost for inspections. For example, in China, it's a flat fee rate. It's a very simple cost structure. So, for example, an inspection in China or Vietnam or India would be $309 all inclusive per one man day at the factory. Usually, 1 man day is enough to complete the inspection.
So it's free to sign up. There's no cost to sign up. It's just once you start.
There's no cost for signing up, no.
Okay, so that's a great advantage. I know there's a lot of companies, Karen and I, who take companies, and we have our trip to China where we take people to the Canton Fair. There's lots of inspection companies there, as you know, Dory. Your company exhibits there, but a lot of the companies are really not what we consider approved companies. Your company is definitely approved, and I think a lot of factories are aware of what your company now, and so they make sure that they're going to be in compliance. And going through these steps when you're in the physical product business is very, very important. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to jump to a couple questions that were emailed in.
Mm-hmm. And actually, before you do, Dory, just so you know that you can take off your screen share if you like, and then people can see you. Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
So I know that going on your site there, that you'll there's all the different certificates and regulations and approvals that you can go through. But what if I have a specific product where there's specific directions that I want to send you to check? Will you go through, can I send those details for your company to do specific inspections?
Absolutely. Again, we have that flexibility. We're not a massive company, we're a mid-sized company. And what we take pride in is the fact that at the end of the day, we would bring our clients value. So if it means that we need to follow our clients' specific instructions, yes, we do this all the time.
And that's a key factor for people, again, selling online. If you have a specific product you've private labeled or you've produced or created, that are there, you know, if there's, maybe there's a ring on a product where you want to make sure that it's strong enough, or a part of a toy that you want to make sure is strong enough and you want them to double check, their company will do that. So very, very important when you're having inspections done. I just want to mention that Dory said that bribery, of course, is very popular in China. Their company does not fold to that. Again, the team that they have working, doing inspections, they know that what happens, and they're compliant in making sure that all the inspections are done. So, you know, I always say that when someone says in China there's no problem, which is mei huan ti in Mandarin, there is a problem. So I know I've gone through his site. It's very, very easy to navigate. It gives you all the information. A lot of times it opens your eyes to say, wow, I can actually have this inspection done. And I think the more that your company gets larger and larger, if you're in the physical product business, you're going to look for setting yourself strategically to say, hey, I have these certificates done. I'm in compliance. I've done the environmental inspections. And people will, especially on Amazon. So again, you're doing a great job. Someone has sent in a question. I have a lot of different questions here. Pre-shipment inspections. So is there a separate charge when you're doing pre-shipment inspections and final inspections? So is that considered the same thing? I guess they're wondering, I guess just before it gets shipped out and just before it leaves the port, is it a different fee?
Yeah, so a pre-shipment inspection equals a final inspection. It's the same thing. It's just different terminology. It's one charge. If you need a pre-shipment event to do a container loading check, well, these are two separate inspections.
Okay, great. The other question is raw material inspections. If I have a number of toys that are involved, different materials for producing the toy, will they do a raw material inspection to make sure that it meets all my requirements?
Absolutely. What we usually do in such cases is we would ask our client to send us his or her approved samples, so we can take it with us to a factory to make sure that the raw material that he's expecting to get is exactly what it is.
So what do you offer clients as far as protection from for their brand? You know, if you're asking for samples or you're going to see their products, you know, they're very, you know, there's a lot of competition out there. So what type of protection do you give people, knowing that, you know, you've seen their products or you know what their products are?
So basically, in terms of protection, again, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that what you're buying from the factory is what's going to come into that container, and the integrity of the product will be exactly what you expect. In terms of the protection, we do have a liability. So, for example, if we go there and report something, and when it's not exactly what it is, when our clients get the container, our liability is up to 10 times the cost of the inspection. But the protection itself is the fact that you've got another set of eyes making sure that our clients are getting what they're supposed to get.
So when someone is, for example, if you're doing an inspection, I guess, Karen, did I answer your question as far as...
Well, it's more of if I'm going to show you my product that is selling really, really well, say on Amazon, and I'm making a lot of money on it, and I'm exposing the product to you, what type of protection do I have from you that you're not going to tell other people about this amazing product, or you're not going to go ahead and sell it on these platforms? Yeah,
your inspectors are loading, 5 containers of this one product because it's so popular. I guess, what type of privacy do we have with that product?
Oh, immediately there is a strict confidentiality between us and you. We're not. We're not a factory. We're there to protect you first and foremost. So, and the most important thing is that we don't have any relationships with factories. Our company is strictly a quality control company. A lot of our competitors do quality and sourcing. So basically, connect factories to importers, and that's where you might have some issues on that sense. But our clients' information and whether it's a product, whether it's the factories, are completely confidential.
Okay, question we have here: if we're shipping to a specific country for Amazon FBA, and there's specific requirements that I have not seen on your website, is this something we can send into you that you can further investigate to make sure that you can service those compliance or certificates?
Absolutely, and we get this a lot. I mean, you don't have to be an expert to know what's mandatory. So we get a lot of clients coming to us and saying, "Hey, I'm importing this product from China to Israel or to Europe. What do I need to do?" And we have a team, a lab team specialist or specialists that their job is to look at the product, look at where it's coming from, look at where it's going to, and then provide our clients with a laundry list of the mandatory testing or requirements. And that's, by the way, it's free of charge. We would not charge any of our clients to let them know what they have to do. It's a part of our service.
Which is great. That's great. So we have a little bit of time. We're going over a little bit here. We do have another question, but if anyone else has a question out there, to please type in the Q&A as well. Don't forget, you can always come over. We have a private Facebook group called Private Label University for Amazon and eBay sellers. If you're not a member of that group, then go over there. It's free to join. You can get your questions answered there. We're there to help you personally on our Facebook group. So we do have one more question that we see here that we want to get to, and then we'll wrap it up.
So someone had sent a question about lipstick. They're involved in manufacturing of lipstick. They see on your site cosmetics is listed. Do you get involved with FDA certificates?
Did we lose you? You're frozen?
Let's...
No, I don't. Okay, so we will get to that question.
We'll get to that question.
On the Facebook group. We'll get an answer for that.
We apologize for any audio issues we've had. Unfortunately, with technology, we're at the mercy of technology.
You gotta love technology.
But it's very important to mention with this webinar that we've had, compliance and certificates and regulations are only going to get tougher. And you really need to have and work with a company that checks all of the issues, all the certificates, all the compliance, all the audits with factories you're working with. You can't just rely on Alibaba and clicking on a button and then all of a sudden making sure your product's going to arrive perfectly. We hope that happens 99% of the time. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And Asian Inspections does a great job of what they do. It's important to have someone on your side that works with your company, for your company, as Dory Company does. I know I have a few shipments that are going to be inspected by his company. And again, the checklist that they sent you is crucial, and it really gives you the opportunity to expand your business.
Absolutely. So Dory, if you can hear us, thank you so much for joining us. This will be on YouTube on our Private Label University channel. So if you want to go back and get some more information, also you can click the link that's attached right here, and it'll take you right to the site to get some more information. Please leave comments below. If you're watching this over on YouTube, leave comments, let us know what your thoughts were. And we hope to get any questions that haven't been answered over on our Facebook private group page. So again, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to bringing you awesome information all the time.
Thank you, Dory. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
You.